It has happened to you, even if you won't admit it. You were there, your heart pounding like it knew something you hadn't figured out yet. A suspicion, a tightness in your chest, a subtle, nearly invisible sense that something just doesn't align. That person who used to smile at you, who used to look for you, who acted like they needed you, now. They pull away with no clear explanation. They no longer write the same way. They don't listen like before. They don't look at you the same anymore. But you don't want to believe it. You explain it away. You make excuses. You lie to yourself. Because admitting the truth would mean tearing down the emotional fortress you carefully built with illusions. There's something in you, something in all of us, that would rather believe a sweet lie than face a brutal truth. You're not here by coincidence. Something inside already knows. It senses it. It's tired of pretending not to notice. Sure, you may have people around you, but how many are truly with you for you? How many remain when you're no longer useful to them? When you stop solving their problems? When you no longer inflate their egos or patch up their emptiness? Some people don't love you, not in the way you think, not in the way you need. They tolerate you. They use you. They manipulate you with a smile they rehearse perfectly. They keep you close, but always a step behind. They don't care about who you really are, only what you offer, your energy, your attention, your availability. And the most painful part? They know. They know exactly how to pull the strings, so you stay. They know how to act broken, so you feel the need to fix them. And you, with that boundless heart, do it, even if it costs you your peace, your identity, your soul. Have you ever asked yourself why people vanish when you need them? Why they only show up when they're low, but disappear when you're falling apart? Have you thought about the gap between how much you give and how little you receive? The imbalance is constant, yet you keep trying to hold it all together, even if it's tearing you apart. Why? What are you seeking? Love? Acceptance? A validation you missed in childhood? That unspoken hope that if you give enough, someone finally will stay? Carl Jung didn't sugarcoat it. People don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And that's what we're doing here. We're going deep into that basement of your mind, into the dusty corner where you buried the "it doesn't matter," the "I'm fine," the "maybe they're just busy." We're shining a light on the uncomfortable truth, the one you've been dodging. That person you care about, they don't feel the same. They never did. They were only drawn to their reflection in you, not you. They only love what you gave. And the harshest truth? You knew it right from the start, but you ignored it because the mind has this strange talent for muting the alarms, for turning sirens into background noise. Because facing the fact that someone is using you, it isn't just painful, it's soul-crushing. It means acknowledging your vulnerability, your craving for love, your emotional dependency. And that's where the war begins, between what you wish was true and what actually is, between the fantasy you cling to and the reality that's draining you. This isn't going to be a feel-good video. You're not here to be comforted. You're here because a part of you is exhausted. A part of you wants clarity. A part of you is begging to understand why you keep allowing yourself to be treated like this. A part of you wants to see the truth, to finally recognize the people who don't value you, who don't love you, who only use you, not by accident, but by design, not as a one-time mistake, but as a pattern rooted deep in their psychology. This isn't some isolated story. It's a mirror, and what you're going to see might sting, but you need to see it. So get ready. We're peeling back the layers of the soul, breaking down the behavior of those who fake interest, who use charm like a trap, who know exactly when to appear and when to vanish, just to keep you emotionally hooked. We'll analyze all of this through deep psychology, through the darkness Jung understood so well. Because if you don't learn to face the shadow, you're doomed to live inside it. This isn't just a video. It's a confrontation with them, yes, but above all with yourself. Let's keep going. Right from where we stopped, we'll go deeper, but without repeating ourselves or dulling the blade. Let's talk about something few dare to name: invisible emotional debt. Because when someone uses you and you don't see it, or worse, you see it but allow it, it creates a twisted dynamic, one that doesn't always speak, but always leaves a scar. You feel like you owe them, even though you never agreed to that debt. You didn't sign for it. You didn't accept it. But you carry it. Why? Because they made you believe you had to. That if you pulled back, you were selfish. That if you weren't always available, you were cruel. That if you didn't save them, you didn't care. They conditioned you emotionally with subtle gestures, guilt-laced silences, and phrases disguised as affection. I wouldn't be anything without you. You're the only one I have. They turned you into their safety net, their unofficial therapist, their emotional partner, without the commitment. But they never gave back. They never reciprocated. They never looked at you and said, "And how are you, really?" Because it was never about you. It never has been. And here's one of the most twisted parts: false gratitude. They say, "Thank you," but they don't show it. They say, "I don't know what I'd do without you," but never make sure you have someone to lean on. Their gratitude becomes emotional blackmail. And you, with that good heart, fall for it again and again, because a part of you thrives on that savior role, even as it tears you apart inside. Carl Jung spoke of the wounded healer, someone who heals others while never tending to their own wounds. That's you, fixing everyone, while your own cracks grow deeper. Because the more you give, the more they pull away. The more you bend, the more they demand. The more valuable you try to be, the more they make you feel replaceable. And here it comes, one of life's cruelest ironies. Fearing the loss of someone who doesn't love you. How do you explain that? How do you understand the tears for someone who gave you nothing real, except the illusion that maybe one day they might? You're not mourning them. You're mourning the idea of them, the fantasy, the promise, everything you hoped they would be, but they never were and never will be. Want to know the key to your freedom? Learning the difference between presence and connection. Because someone can be right next to you and not be with you at all. And someone who's left can still treat you with more respect than the one beside you every night. Some people stay not because of love, but because it's convenient. Because you serve them. You become their emotional fix, their private audience, their dumping ground for frustrations. And unless you stop it, it becomes something more dangerous. Addiction. An emotional addiction dressed up as loyalty. You start defending the indefensible, normalizing the pain, romanticizing the struggle, thinking that true love means suffering. But it's not love. It's a parasitic bond, one where you pour and pour, and they take and take. If you think that one day they'll wake up and finally value you, don't. That's not going to happen. Because people who drain you won't teach you how to leave. Losing you would mean facing their own emptiness. And they're not ready for that. They'd rather you carry their shadow while they pretend to be the light. And now, we go one level deeper into the idealization of the other as a form of escape. When you idealize the person who uses you, it's not because they're truly extraordinary. It's because deep down, you need something to hold on to. You make them your anchor, your emotional compass, your north. Because without that, you're forced to stare into the abyss of your own loneliness. And that pain, that's worse than any heartbreak. But you can't keep evading yourself. You can't keep holding on to someone who wouldn't even pause to catch you if you were the one falling. You can't keep labeling a toxic cycle as destiny. Want to know if someone truly loves you or if they simply need you? Watch how they behave when you stop giving them what they want, when you draw a line, when you say no. Genuine care isn't proven when everything flows smoothly. It's revealed when you're no longer convenient for them. That's when the disguise falls away. That's when you find out if it was love or just utility. And here's the most unsettling part. The person hurting you might not even realize it. Because there's something more dangerous than calculated manipulation, emotional unconsciousness. People walking around with unresolved wounds, repeating the same destructive patterns, unaware of the damage they cause. And you become collateral damage in their inner battle. But make no mistake, understanding someone doesn't mean you have to endure them. You can empathize with their pain and still walk away. Because your peace is worth more than the shared past, more than being someone's project or emotional punching bag. And if you're still here, still watching, it's because something inside of you is already stirring. That part of you that's tired of being useful, that longs to finally be loved, genuinely, without traps, without strings attached. So here's the brutal question. How many more chances are you going to give to someone who doesn't love you? How many more times will you allow someone to take up space in your life when all they give you is emptiness in return? How long will you delay the most courageous act of all? Walking away when you know you're not appreciated. You don't need to scream. You don't need revenge. Just do the one thing they never expect. Vanish. Because the moment you leave, they lose access. They can't manipulate you. They can't drain you anymore. And even if it hurts, even if a goodbye burns, you reclaim your power the instant you close that door. That's where we'll pause for now. What comes next is yours to decide. But if you're still with me, if you didn't scroll past or click away with a, "Yeah, I already knew this," then let me tell you something nobody else will. You're not the same person you were just minutes ago. Now you have something different. Awareness. Awareness of the hidden game. The psychological tricks. The silent language that speaks louder than all the empty. "I care about you" promises. And once you notice it, you can't ignore it. That feeling you had, that something's off, wasn't paranoia. It was your intuition. Your soul was screaming, but you silenced it just to keep someone else comfortable. Someone who never truly cared. But now, you're no longer asleep. Now the lie is cracked. Now you see the imbalance. You see the emotional dependency. You finally understand it wasn't love. It was need. You weren't cherished. You were used. And more importantly, you realize you can leave. Because real self-love isn't a caption under a mirror selfie. It isn't spa days and soft playlists. It's walking away from those who don't honor your presence. It's cutting ties with the ones who only show up when they're lonely, but vanish when you're in pieces. And right here, right at this point, is where your story shifts. Because when you finally vanish from the life of someone who only saw you as a lifeline, you don't become heartless. You become healed. You finally see your worth isn't tied to the crumbs you accept. It's in the power you now choose not to give away. You're not running away. You're being reborn. You're shedding the version of you that accepted emotional leftovers. And if it hurts, if it stings deep in your chest as you hear this, if breathing feels heavy just imagining leaving, then that's your sign. No one should have that kind of control over you. No one should steal your peace from a distance. And even if they don't mean to harm you, they still do. And that's enough. Enough to shut the door. Enough to vanish. Enough to finally choose yourself. It might hurt. You might feel guilt. You might feel tempted to go back, to explain, to apologize. But hear this clearly. Never apologize for saving yourself. Don't explain your peace. Don't justify your limits. The ones who didn't value your presence don't deserve a single word when you walk away. And if any of this resonated, if it cracked something open in you, do one thing. Write this phrase in the comments. Not just for me, for you, as your quiet flag of transformation. I'm not your refuge if you are my storm. Anyone who reads it will know. You've seen the truth. And if this video reached into you, if it finally said what you couldn't put into words, subscribe. Not because you have to, because here, in this space where we untangle emotional chaos, we choose to keep exposing uncomfortable truths. We break masks. We confront illusions. We choose, again and again, the truth, even when it hurts. Share this with someone who's been stuck for years in a love that never gave back. With someone who's still waiting for that message that won't ever come. Be the mirror. Be the spark. And now I'll go, but not with a pretty goodbye. I'll leave in silence. The kind of silence that lingers after the truth is spoken. The kind that echoes when the video ends, but the awareness doesn't. Because once you know your worth, you can't stay in places that dim it. Close your eyes, breathe, and disappear until the next truth.